Hey, this is Davin with Hagerty and our Redline Rebuild Updates. Today we're working on a 1950 Chevy pickup truck. Last time we wrapped up the hubs, the brakes, and then took the shocks off the rear axle. Now today we're going to tackle the leaf springs and put the shocks back on. Okay, since I'm going to go ahead and cut off these U-bolts, I want to support this axle because as soon as the U-bolts are gone, the axle is going to come down. And so I'm putting this under hoist stand underneath this corner. I'm going to do one side at a time. Cut the U-bolts off. This cap's going to drop. Then I'm also going to get rid of, and the main thing is not only the U-bolts rotted, but I want to get rid of this helper leaf. We're not going to be hauling a huge load with this truck any longer, so let's get rid of these and kind of soften some things up. But yeah, so safety thing and functional. Now I could use like a nylon strap and kind of hold things and that, but I'm going to be using a torch, so nylon's not the best thing to have in the way, and these jack stands are pretty cheap and they work really well because they fully adjust it. So then when I come down, I can also lower this leaf, or the axle, lower it down without it coming out. This might be fun to get that up. Nice block of steel in there. We'll save that. So I am going after actually taking this leaf spring completely out now. There's a pin here and a pin here that hold this shackle to not only the frame but then also to the leaf spring that holds the guide or the pivot pin. I'm going to actually heat up, I think the top one here, and see if I can get it out of the truck first. They put a hole on this side of the frame so I can come in with a driver and drive it this direction. Hopefully it should clear the frame. I think it moved. Did it move?
Yep.
Yeah, let's heat that up, that bushing up, and then maybe it'll slide out then. There, finally got it right. Look at that. All right, so here's what our pivot looks like. You have this pin that comes in, and then a side pin that comes across it, and it's held in with a nut, and that holds this whole pin from coming in and out, or coming out. But that's how this is all held together. Obviously, these are a wear item, and there's also a bushing inside of here that looks to be pretty well wore out. That might be what a lot of this slop is. So I may have to either make a new bushing or buy one and just wait the little bit of time it'll take to get here. That helper leaf was actually broke. It's just caught on that stupid ring, but it's not moving.
You got something that you could put it down in?
That works too. It's still gonna be not as bad, but still gonna be sloppy. I think what I'll do, all right, so I'm gonna do two things here. I'm gonna call the local place that makes springs just to see if they happen to have a bushing that would fit these eyes and the pin. And then if not, I can order another set, or order the bushing set from LMC if they have them. Or worst comes to worst, I can turn some on the lathe. So here's what we're doing. So these bushings are wore out. You can see it's really thin here and thick here. That's just from years of wear. And I need to get them pushed out. I tried pounding them out on the floor, and just wasn't working real well. So I grabbed my U-joint ball joint tool here. I've got a little puck that's gonna go on the inside of that. And I'm going to use some air as a press, because I don't have a press right now, to get this out of here. All right, so the bushing's out here, it's nice and clean, and we have the old wore out bushing. What I'm gonna have to do is try to size these up. These aren't necessarily readily available. And then worst case, I'll get a chunk of bronze that is the right OD and then cut my ID, and hopefully I won't have to cut both ID, OD, and length and make brand new bushings. But there they are. Mm. 2 inches. Well, look at that. Here we go. Boom, done. How simple is that? So for this, again, since I don't have press, (5/8", 11/16". 3/4? Okay. I'll bring both. You're right, 3/4. It's a 3/4 race socket. Wants to slide off the side on me. there's a small bushing in here. So what I'm after right now is cleaning this out to the point. There's another little bushing in this, it'd be the bottom, I guess, side of this. And I need to get that out as well. You can just see that little ridge in there, a little brass bushing. So I'm trying to figure out where I can best grab it. It's actually in two pieces. You got 1/2 and 1/2 with a break in the center for grease. So I think, and I don't have an anvil that's exactly the right size as far as just going in there and tapping it out. You know, I can't use something like that because it's going to hit my steel. That's so thin, I'm just going to be better off. Unfortunately, I may end up just chipping it out of the way. But I need to get down to what the actual diameter is of the hole, and then I can order on the same site, I can order some more bushings just for that. So yesterday we were discussing or working on the bushings on our leaf spring and on the shackle. Got them both out. They look about like this now, and they're kind of ugly and nasty, and of course the ID is all wallered out for the pins. I did my due diligence here locally. I went to a leaf spring shop. I went to the local parts place. I also looked online through like LMC, and they're out of these bushings. So at that point, I kind of scratched my head a little bit and said, hold it, let's not overthink this. These are really a steel bushing here and a brass bushing here, or bronze bushing. So I'm like, well, how about if I go to McMaster Car, which is an industrial supply house. They have all sorts of things relative to industry, but I also know that they have stock bushings, or at least bushing material. So what I found was the absolute duplicate in bronze, opposed to the steel, but for the amount of wear and tear this vehicle is going to get now, the bronze will be fine. It's going to be well lubricated with the pin, and this will go into the eye on both ends. It's got a light press. Of course, the eye will open up just a little bit, won't crush the ID. These are fairly thick, so that solves my problem on the leaf spring side. But on my shackle side, on this smaller thin bushing, you can see how much this is worn, by the way. The ID on this end of the shackle is slightly smaller than 1 inch. This is a 1 inch bushing, so I need to come up with a good way to basically make this fit into that hole. It's only 10 thousandths. So I'm going to take a trip over to our other Hagerty garage and see if the lathe will hold on to this end of it, and if I can turn 10 thousandths off of the bushing and place it in there. If that does not work, then what I'm going to do is have to ream the ID out to 1 inch, which is also not a big deal. Well, it's not a big deal if you have the tools to do it. All right, so here's the bushing we turned down, and now it's just a matter of getting it pressed into the end of the shackle here. I'm going to use the I'm going to use the vise to do that. How about that?
Say it.
Say it? How about those bananas? Boom. All right, now even though that I pressed brand new bearings in here, everything's the right size. Here's another for the other side, and you can see it goes on the shaft, no problem. However, after pressing it in, it's probably going to pinch that diameter just a little bit, which it has. So I'm still gonna have to grab a reamer to just go in and just clean this up gently. A reamer is drastically different than a drill bit, so don't think you're going to just grab a drill bit and run through there. A reamer has multiple flutes on it, and it will bring it right to a true diameter opposed to a triangle. Yes, a drill bit drills a triangular shaped hole. Whoop. Before I jump over in the truck and put the shackle in, I want to go over real quickly drill bits, reamers, and such. So, like I mentioned, I needed to open up this hole ever so slightly to fit the pin after pressing the bushing in. It does collapse the ID slightly. So ideally, I would use a reamer to come in and just kind of clean that up. A reamer is only meant to take a few thousandths off, whereas a drill bit is meant to drill a hole. Now, that's not to say that you can't come in here and just, you know, work this in real slow to clean things up if you don't have a reamer. But the best idea is a reamer. And then also there's this, like an adjustable reamer, it's really a hone that uses a lapping compound and run it in and out with like a cordless drill and bring it back up to size. So then your pin slips in nice. That's what I'm looking for. There it went. There. There. Right, so Jordan gave me a little extra light here, so that's good. All right, here we go. So let's get this one, so it'll be a little bit easier. I'm not working quite so in the dark. So that was why I did the hard one first. Look at that, would you? All right, so that went a whole lot easier than the front did. We kind of understood the alignment a little better. So I just need to button up these zerks back here, put some grease in the front and the rear, and of course add the U-bolts and reattach the axle up to the leaf spring. And then we'll get the other side done. All right, with those shocks on, that wraps up the back end of this truck. Now, we had a few little hiccups here and there. We had bushings we had to make. We had some issues with our brakes. But at the end of the day, this part of it's done. Wasn't all that bad. And now we can move on to the front end and get that done. But for now, we're done. We're gonna relax for a little bit. Most importantly though, if you like these, there's plenty of them out there and we're gonna be doing more. So click and subscribe and watch for the next episode. Till then, get out in the garage and enjoy your shop and your project, and most importantly, go enjoy the ride. Just like butter. Just like butter. Oh, I missed it.